Hello everyone, and welcome to another Top 5 Records video. Today we get a very special live release. Today is the release of Bob Dylan and the band's 1974 live recordings. It is a box set with 27 CDs from their 1974 tour. Now, why is this tour so special? First of all, it's been the first time in 8 years that Bob Dylan toured. And his collaboration with the band, who in the meantime also became a very big standalone band, because in 1966 they were the supporting band, or no, not supporting band, but the band behind Dylan. In the meantime, they became one of the big bands from America themselves, so that collaboration was fascinating. They played bigger venues, a lot bigger venues. They went from theaters in 1966 to stadiums in 1974. Thing also is, this tour has been criticized a lot. Not only by critics, but by Dylan and some members of the band themselves. They were not fully at ease with their performances during the tour. So getting 27 of CDs is fascinating. Now, it's not the first time that this tour led to a release. What I have here is Bob Dylan and the band's Before the Flood. Just to give you an idea of where I'm coming from with this review, I might state something about this record. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'm a Dylan fan. I think it's important also to let you know that for uh, the idea of where am I coming from. I've got more than 60 Dylan records. I really love Dylan. There are some albums that really go close to my heart. There are some that I enjoy less. This one I kind of enjoyed. Yeah, I enjoyed. But it's not one of my recurring albums, not one of my recurring live albums. I prefer the 1966 Royal Albert Hall Show and the Royal Albert Hall Show. I prefer the 1976 Rolling Thunder box set, which came out when the documentary by Martin Scorsese was released on Netflix a couple of years ago. Those are my go-to Dylan live albums. Even the Budokan is more of a go-to for me than this one. I'll get to that later on why it is, because this box set, it is interesting. But how do you approach this as a listener or a reviewer? Because 27 CDs, I haven't counted the amount of hours, but a rough estimation is if you listen to 27 live CDs of the same tour, it's about close to a full work week of listening. Now, honestly, you don't do that for enjoyment. Is that the way this box set is meant? It brings me to a question that I had when I started off reviewing. I started off as a film reviewer, and I wanted to review The Empire State Building by Andy Warhol, which is like 12 hours of Andy Warhol filming the Empire State Building. Should you experience the full 12 hours to give an opinion of that? Should you experience the full 12 hours to understand what's going on there? Or is the idea of it not to spend 12 hours, but in a museum to walk in and walk out of it, just as you do with art? Or to project it on your wall, like suggested in the John Cale Lou Reed song on the record song Stradella. Same thing with this box, 27 CDs. Basically, you're buying an archive. How do you approach an archive? Well, my response to that is by picking songs out of there. You pick songs, you enjoy them, and you get an impression of a tour. For anyone who wants to go through the 27 CDs, be my guest. As a matter of fact, I'll love to see your review. I'm not going to do it. Listening to picks of these songs, my experience is the following. I wonder what went through Dylan's head during the tour. The energy in his performance, it was really changing. There are moments when he is pushing the band vocally, rhythm guitar like. Is that because he was maybe insecure for not playing 8 years and now suddenly having stadiums. I think that in analyzing Bob Dylan, you have to take some insecurity in account. Um, I've read his biography, and in his biography, he states that he mostly sees himself as a troubadour, and he enjoys the songwriting, and but he thinks people put more emphasis on the lyrics than his melodies deserve, and he sees himself as a musician who interprets songs. So his performances for him are very important. Then there is this element of insecurity that I noticed with the Netflix documentary about the 1985 "We Are the World" single, in which Dylan had to do a short moment of improvisation and shout out in a certain way, and he just didn't dare to do that with his voice. He was insecure about his voice. So Stevie Wonder imitated what a Bob Dylan freestyle moment could sound like, and then Dylan could do it. But you notice, you can observe in the footage that although Dylan is one of the biggest names in the world of music, there is a certain element of shyness, insecurity going on there. Now, I wonder, is that the case with these live shows that he has a great trained band behind him, which he's been working with more often, of course, but he sees a stadium and he wasn't there for 8 years. Is he pushing these songs out of insecurity? I think so, because the rockier, rougher approach, the shouting, the full on shouting, energetic, and the speeding up on a rhythm guitar and speeding up on vocals, that is not, in my opinion, the best way to treat these songs. So listening to these songs and everything that I've heard is of a good quality recording. But listening to these songs, I hear him struggle with the way they should sound, and I'm never fully convinced. And they rarely have the power that, in my opinion, they should have. There are a lot of interesting moments. This tour had a first time that you had a song like "All Along the Watchtower," so it is a legendary time. It is interesting, definitely, but is it captivating? And for me, the answer is actually the same as with Before the Flood. No, no, this does not thrill me the way other Dylan live shows do. I've actually seen him perform live a couple of years ago in Amsterdam in Carré. That wasn't a captivating performance. I do not enjoy this ride that much. Yet, is this a negative review of the box set? No, no, no. Because I think the idea that you release 27 CDs of one tour, that you make an archive available, and they make it available for about $100. That's about $4 a CD, less than $4 a CD. I mean, you are giving the audience the opportunity to share in an archive. This is not an experience compressed to 1.5 hours. You give something of great value, of a moment in time, to the fans. And it's completely up to them to buy it, not to buy it, and it's selling pretty well. It is so much up to personal reflection. In that regard, my answer is no. This is not the box for me. And yes, I am a Dylan fan. I'm not as fanatic that this truly draws me in. But if something like this would be done with a tour of a band like Queen or Pink Floyd, from which I really want everything and I want to hear everything, I would be thrilled. Even the lesser tours, like a Queen's Hot Space Tour, or, well, Pink Floyd doesn't have lesser tours as long as Waters was involved. Nevertheless, this release should be viewed as different from a record. This is not a record. This is an archive. And in that regard, it's daring, it's bold, it's not expensive. That's great. And you make something available for the public. So I'm really, really grateful for this release. So I'm curious, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video.